Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Next Gen Tech Talk. Today, I have a very interesting guest with me. By the way, my name is Jawad, and on the other end of the line is Vinicius from Brazil. Am I right?
Yes, yes, I am. Thank you
And
very much for inviting me.
yes, yes, likewise. And would you like to introduce yourself, give us a little bit about Decubate, what that is, and all of that?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Vinicius. I am from Brazil. I've been in the crypto environment for a couple of years already. Decubate, by the way, is not from Brazil; it's from the Netherlands. This is where the core team is based. But I used to live there, and I'm living here. So, by the way, we're a global team. We have people from all around the world working with us, and I'm very excited to be here. By the way. And a little bit about Decubate. We are trying to revolutionize Web3 as an all-in-one tokenization DAO. So our mission is to pioneer the future of Web3 and empower innovators. And we are specialized in helping business to launch, manage, and grow in the Web3 landscape using everything related to tokenization through tailored white label solutions, ensuring a smooth and user-friendly experience for everyone.
That sounds amazing. And so, in terms of the idea of the new Web3, what exactly do you think it does in terms of helping you help your clientele?
Well, Web3 is the new decentralized internet. So, unlike Web2, which relies on centralized servers, we are building things in a decentralized network and blockchain technology. So, this is really important when people want to do things without having someone controlling everything. Because for me, it's very interesting the fact that we have decentralization where users can interact with each other directly without having corporations or governments seeing what they do, you know? Transparency is very important as well because everything is publicly available and can be audited by everyone. So this provides greater accountability and reduces the risk of fraud and corruption. One thing that I find really interesting as well is the fact that we have decentralized applications, the dApps that can run on the blockchain. So the usage is incredible. I've seen a lot of different projects from digital identity identification and supply chain management to really nice games and decentralized finance and social networks. So I believe the Web3 came to revolutionize many industries and create a more open and transparent internet for everyone.
Great. And yeah, that's the beauty of the new age technology. It's primarily for everyone. So, moving on,
Exactly.
you talked about transparency, and with transparency, there's a lot of major concern attached along the lines of the idea of security. Web 2.0 had its fair share of cybersecurity issues. Now, with the new age and the new tech, what are some of the things that you foresee and some of the areas that you think might be red flags? And what are the solutions for those red flags in terms of the cybersecurity issue?
Well, cybersecurity, that is a big issue. I think this is the thing that most people are concerned when they're entering Web3, you know, because with the power of decentralization comes also the fear of who can have control of things that we don't have control, right? And well, Web3, it eliminates the need for a central point of control, as we know, which reduces the risk of cyber attacks and hacking attempts when you don't have like a big corporation where everyone tries to attack. But on the other hand, one of the biggest concerns in the Web3 cybersecurity is a smart contract vulnerability. So we've seen all these big companies that have such a very robust smart contract and they're being attacked and people steal their funds and compromise the integrity of the network. So I believe with cybersecurity, this is one of the main concerns that we have right now. To counterattack that, I believe that the auditions of smart contracts that we have nowadays are getting better and better. By the way, Decubate and all white label solutions, they're all audited by the biggest audition companies in the Web3. But I also feel that there are other ways for us to counterattack that. For instance, the verification systems or the well-known KYCs, because it helps to use to maintain the control over the people identity, the data of people, which reduces the risk of theft and other types of cyber crimes. On the top of that, of course, blockchain is everything is in cryptography, so it allows for secure transmission and storage by encrypting the data, and only people with authorization can enter these things. So we are trying to make everything really new. It's really hard to have everything ready right away, so I think it also takes some time for us to get all these things done in a secure way. But of course there are a lot of threats, and we have all to be careful about that.
Yes, one can never be too careful about such things. And coming from the other side of things, like there are a lot of critics who basically harp around this idea of the central contract, which becomes this precarious sort of a thing because you kind of don't actually know who is the one dealing with it. And it's one thing to just take out the middleman altogether and make it decentralized, but there's another to actually then demarcate what decentralization is. How does this vagueness sort of seep into this idea of security and the sense of privacy that people have for a very long time on the internet try to, sort out?
Well, that's a really good question. Right now, the decentralized system most of the time is actually a little bit centralized, because it's not that easy for people just to create something and let everything take control of it. So when we're creating DAOs, for example, it's not that everything is entirely decentralized in a way, but people are able to vote on things based on how much power they have or influence they have in such a thing, right? So when you ask about these things, it's really a hard question. I don't know how to answer that properly yet, because everything is really new. But what I can tell about it is that it's not that easy to make everything decentralized right away. And in my impression about these things is that even with decentralized networks, we have somehow some kind of centralization there, because the person who creates or the person who has access to these things, he wants to make it everything as fair as possible. But most of the times it's not the case yet,
Yeah, so basically consent matters. You give the ownership and the
Absolutely.
leadership to people and then be like, yes, no take backsies on that. So
Yeah, and by the way, like at Decubate, we just implemented our governance system, which our community of investors have been asking a long time for that, because basically what we do there, we have some politics and policies where we have this staking system where people have some tiers, and according to the tier, they can vote to some important things about what happens within the company. For example, now we have some crowdfunding events, and we establish a new and very revolutionary way of doing a refund policy for the customers. So people are protected in a way that if the crowdfunding event is not good and the price of the token when they launch is bad, people are able to get a full refund. And we haven't decided that, by the way. It was the client, our community of investors, that decided that for us. So I think that's the fun part and most secure way right now about decentralized, having a centralized way somehow.
yeah, it makes sense, and it's great that you brought up your own company in that frame of reference, because that was what the next question was leading to. How does Decubate facilitate the clientele, like you just mentioned right now very briefly, but if you could go into a little bit more detail as to what is that facilitation looking like for a very new sort of a company in this tech framework, and what exactly do you do to help them uh, align with the Web 3.0 and all of that?
Well, it's hard to say about this, because we're trying to do everything possible to make token management and Web3 easy. Like when we founded Decubate in 2021, we actually started like a small launchpad. So we're holding some small crowdfunding events for very interesting projects, and we're doing some incubation from Web 2 to Web 3. So we're basically seeing some nice companies that didn't know anything about blockchain. We're like, hey guys, it might be interesting for you to come here and try this new world. To be honest with you, by the time we were doing that in 2021, it was taking a lot of time to do the incubation, because it's not about only creating a token. It's creating an identity. It's creating the tokenomics. It's trying to make some utility for the token and things like that. So by the time we were doing that, it was very costly for us, and the bear market was coming. So we had to change a little bit our philosophy and what we wanted to do within the Web3. That's why Decubate started to be not only a launchpad, but also a software development company. We started to build some white label solutions for the token management system that we call right now. So for instance, if you have a Web3 project, you of course will need to have your tokenomics in place. We'll have to have a token utility. We'll have to have a good marketing. You have to have some advisory people to help you with that. And that's where Decubate comes in. We have some white label solutions. For instance, if you want to distribute your tokens for your stakeholders and every different strategy of your tokenomics, we have a white label solution exactly for that. So if you have 10 different strategies, seed round, pre-round, team members, whatever, we have a white label solution that we put in your website, and it distributes the tokens automatically once they are launched. Another thing that we have is a staking system where people can go to the Web3 company page and they can stake tokens. They can have some liquidity pools. They can even increase some of the APYs of the staking pools with some NFT boosts. So we're trying to create everything that makes it really easy for the companies to just think about their future while we take care of the most important things about their tokens. And most important, we don't own any possession of the smart contracts. So for instance, if you want to have your white label solution, we are going to deploy it for you, and you have your smart contract possession, which is really important for security, you know? So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And nowadays we are starting our crowdfunding events again. And we are one of the most fast-growing launchpads globally in 2023. If you look at CoinMarketCap, we are growing so much right now, and this is really important for us. We are holding crowdfunding events weekly with a lot of different cool projects. And by the way, that's also an invitation for the guys. Like, if you want to make some good investments, right now we're having such nice projects. You just have to KYC in our website. And then we'll be eligible to become of the community members of Decubate, where of course you can participate in those events. We also have some airdrops and all this kind of things. And of course, vote in the governance system that we have, which is really important for us.
Amazing. And you've heard it here, folks. Join the Decubate for interesting events and be part of some really, really cool projects. Speaking of cool projects, can you elaborate on some of the things that you've done over the years? What are some of the cool projects or the interesting sort of partnerships or things that you've done, which actually has helped along this journey that you guys are on?
Yeah, sure. Since we founded Decubate, I think we worked with around 50 projects so far, so 50. Some people may think this is not a lot, but trust me, this is a lot when it comes to developing products and holding crowdfunding events, doing the marketing, trying to convince people that this is a good project, but because usually they are. So yeah, recently we had a huge IDO allocation for a company called ChainGPT. It's not ChatGPT, it's ChainGPT. So it's pretty much similar because GPT, as you know, it's related to AI models designed for answering questions. And ChainGPT is a project that we are very proud of because they designed an AI model for blockchain technology and crypto-related topics. So if you want to know anything, and recent, by the way, not like ChatGPT that is only until 2021. Like if you want to know something about blockchain and crypto, you have to check out these guys. We had an allocation of more than 50K for them last week, and it was a huge success in our community of investors, because I think that our pot of allocation was full in like 24 seconds. It's crazy how big that was, and people are really happy with this project. They were hyped with I think 40x. Nowadays it is a lot, because most companies are not launching because they have the fear of failing. And that's something I want to discuss later with you, because failing here in Web3 is like really easy, and you have to be really careful with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so ChainGPT is a really nice project. We had other relevant projects as well that have helped with the staking system, the vesting system, the white label solutions that we have, like Engines of Fury, GMR, Animalia, Ether Games, Sidus Heroes, CoinZix. Anyway, there are many different projects with many different industries as well. We don't have a specific niche, and we have such a great relationship with all of them.
Great. And any particular interest within those industries that you found very unique? Any sort of that example coming up?
Well, particularly speaking, I am very into these new kinds of AI technology, because I'm also a data scientist. So
Right.
whenever I see something that it's like related to creating something from scratch using mathematical models and all these kind of things, I'm really impressed. But I would also have a kudos for the GameFi industry. It's very interesting, the games that are being developed right now. We have some projects right now in our pipeline for crowdfunding events. There are games. It's really hard to make good games nowadays, especially if you are like independent. But like you guys, Cloud City Meta and Nasrun Studio, I know that you're developing such great things, and that's also something that I'm keeping my eye at.
That's high praise. Really appreciate that. But yeah, you're right. And someone who loves games, I think I would love to just sit and talk about all of that, how things fall apart when you just go overboard on the development front. So, in terms of gamification and Web3, what are some of the avenues you think that developers can explore to actually really take advantage of this new technology?
That's a really good question. Well, first of all, I think that companies in general that want to enter the Web3, it's really important for them to understand the value that Web3 can bring to the company. Because in my experience, analyzing projects, analyzing tokenomics, and understanding if it's actually a good fit for coming from Web2 to Web3, many people enter Web3 because they think it's cool. But if you don't find any relevant utility for your project, maybe there is no sense for you just to go there and create your token, And that's what happens most of the time when we're here. People think that Web3 is easy money. It's not easy money. I think you're going to agree with me that people have to think about the long term if you're creating your projects, because 99 of the projects fail because of the lack of management and preparation to enter Web3. You want to raise funds, fine, try to raise funds. But there are scams everywhere. There are people that are going to dump your token right away. So you don't want that. You want to create a community that trusts in you. And for that, you need to understand what are their needs, how we are going to make it attractive for them, because only the great and competent minds are the ones who survive here. I think there's another thing really important, because if you're the CEO of a company, for example, if you're hearing me, please understand about your tokenomics. Tokenomics are not just creating a nice spreadsheet with some linear vesting and cliffs and whatever. It's not like that. You really have to understand what is the best strategy for your company to succeed, because having well-funded tokenomics will make your project succeed in the long term. And having advisors that are within the Web3 environment for a couple of years, this is also really important. That's something, by the way, that we can help as well. But yeah, and by the way, the last thing that we spoke before, I think learning about cybersecurity is important. So You have to audit your smart contracts. You have to have your company listed on CoinMarketCap with some additions of Haken, Haichi, Certic, implement KYC with your stakeholders, to your community, and to prevent the attack of bad actors. I think this would be my advices for people that are entering Web3.
Now, that's pretty sound advice. I hope people do take heed, especially CEOs of new companies who are actually now venturing into this open world, pun intended. So, at the end, we've had a very riveting conversation. I think it can go on because I find this
It could.
extremely interesting, and we haven't even delved into the details of gamification yet, which I'm holding myself, because if I start on that, then it's an all nighter. But speaking of the overall impact for new entrepreneurs, you've already mentioned the basic things to look out for. Okay, so they've looked out for that. What other advice or any sort of hinges or traps or scams or identification of any red flag would you tell or give to those people who are like really looking into it with a serious mindset? Because like you mentioned, a lot of people go into this with, oh, easy money, we'll just go in, get out, get our money and be all rich in the crypto world. But it doesn't happen like that. So, what are some of the sage advice that you would give to people who are venturing into it from a very newbie layman perspective?
Well, based on the previous things that I said, it's really important for you to understand your business. So try to really understand if Web3 makes sense for you. As a CEO, probably you're going to talk to a lot of people. You're going to talk to a lot of VCs, try to fundraise. You're going to talk to a lot of launchpads, a lot of centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges to list. And that requires a lot of time and energy. So talk to these people, try to understand them, see if you have points of connection as well, because one thing that I really don't like, but of course I understand, is that the decentralized technology, the decentralized system allows you to be anonymous. And being anonymous has pros and cons. I feel that if you're anonymous, maybe it's better for you than for the person who is talking to you, because you don't know that person, right? And believing in people that you can't actually confirm that exist. For instance, if I was talking to you here, Javad, and you have your camera off, I would be a little suspicious about who am I talking to, if you want to only like steal my ideas. So I would say that because we don't see each other in person too much in this new era, I think it's important for you to understand who you're talking to, who your investors are, who are the people that are, putting money on your company. Because as easy as these people will actually invest in your project, they will also dump your token and leave your project. So whenever you're talking to someone, be aware that a lot of people are here just for the money and not for the idea of brilliant minds. Yeah, that would be my biggest advice so far. And of course, having a good team backing you is really important. Like I'm not the CEO of my company, but I know that he trusts me to come here and talk about the company because we're serious people, So having a team that can back you by any time, that is really important as well. And yeah, I think these are the most important two things that I would say.
No, that's amazing. And it's brilliant that you put this fact out there for a lot of people who are listening. It's not usually the CEOs who become this all encompassing identity or entity. It's about the team. Every one of us who is part of some sort of conglomerate, we are basically the ones who are helping achieve a very attainable goal. So, in light of that, I think that's brilliant. And thank you for pointing out that trust really matters, because who you're talking to matters. And thankfully, the cloning industry hasn't advanced that much. So, Jawad is Jawad and Vinicius is Vinicius. Otherwise, some other Terminator style dystopian world awaits us. But hopefully, that's not going to happen. Anyways, it's been a lovely conversation. Had a real learning experience here from my end as well. I hope all of you who are listening really think that this was very insightful, and I hope you find it insightful. And do check out Decubate for interesting projects, events, all of that. And that's about it. Any last words on the topic?
Yes. Again, I'm really glad that I'm here to talk with you guys about these things. I hope I made some important points for everyone who is watching. By the way, guys, I don't know if you know, but we are partners with Nasrun Studio and City Cloud Meta, so I expect to have some partnerships coming soon. If I can, Javad, I would like to briefly invite people to join our community on Telegram. I have the links here. I don't know if we can share it anywhere, but I would love to do it maybe on a link on YouTube or anywhere you think it's interesting. But I would, of course, invite people to see our work, how we are trying to disrupt Web3 for white label solutions and the crowdfunding events that we're holding. I really expect to have some nice events coming on. As I said before, we have some nice projects in our pipeline. Some people are making a lot of profit. Uh, of course, we ask people to hold their tokens. That's why we created this nice refund policy where people are actually not dumping them right away, which is really great for the project as well. So I'll really invite you guys to check it out. And yeah, I hope to see you all there.
Great. And yeah, sure, you can drop in the links and we will share them with the viewers and they can then look it up. So yeah, that's about it. It was pleasure having Vinicius on today, and we're looking forward to collaborating with them even more. And thank you so much, Vinicius, for taking out the time, and hope to collaborate with you even more in the future. Thanks.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a nice afternoon and I talk to you soon. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.